You know the feeling, right? You're staring at a huge wall of TVs, and all you see are these big numbers, 4K, 8K. And it's so easy to just think, well, the bigger number has to be better. But what if I told you the number that really matters isn't even on the box?
Yeah, that's a pretty bold statement, but it gets right to the heart of one of the biggest marketing tricks in the tech world. And today, we're going to break down exactly why this quote is, for most of us, totally true.
It's kind of weird when you stop and think about it, isn't it? A smaller number, 1080p, on a tiny phone screen looks so much crisper than a way bigger number, 4K, on a massive TV. On paper, that makes absolutely no sense. Well, this is the central mystery we are about to solve.
And all of this leads us to what I call the great display lie. You see, marketers absolutely love selling us on these giant resolution numbers. But the thing is, they're only telling us half the story. They're conveniently leaving out the most critical piece of the puzzle. So what's the secret? It all comes down to a little something called pixel density. This is the key to everything. It's not just about how many pixels a screen has, it's about how tightly those pixels are packed together.
So what is pixel density really? Well, think of it this way. It's just how crammed together all those little dots of light are on your screen. The more pixels you pack into a small space, that's a higher PPI, or pixels per inch, the sharper and more solid the image looks to your eye. Let's just use 1080p as our starting point. That's a little over 2 million pixels. Now, here's the key. That number is fixed. It's always 2 million pixels, whether it's on a tiny little phone screen or a gigantic TV. And that's where pixel density really starts to matter.
And right here, this is how we solve our paradox. On a small phone, those 2 million pixels are just crammed together, right? It creates the super dense, really sharp image. But on a huge TV, you're taking that exact same number of pixels and stretching them way, way out. Things start to look a lot less defined. That's pixel density in action.
And you know, this whole idea isn't new. It's basically been the driving force behind every big leap in display tech. So let's take a quick trip back in time, a little journey through the evolution of pixels.
Oh man, remember the 480p DVD era? I mean, you could read the text, but everything had those kind of jagged, pixelated edges. Then 720p HD showed up, and all of a sudden, it was way harder to see the individual pixels. And that brings us to today, where 1080p is still the global standard for a good reason. It's that perfect balance. It's sharp, but it doesn't totally destroy your internet connection when you try to stream something.
Okay, enough with the theory. How do we actually use this information? Well, it's all about finding your sweet spot, matching the right resolution to your screen size and what you're actually going to be doing with it. This breakdown makes it pretty clear. For screens under 27 inches, 1080p is honestly perfect for everyday use. Now, if you're a gamer or a creative pro who needs that extra bit of detail, 1440p on a 27 to 32-inch monitor is the sweet spot. And for that big cinematic experience on a living room TV, say 40 inches or more, yeah, that's where 4K really starts to shine. And hey, here's a little bonus for 4K. It's not just about the pixels. Most 4K TVs now also include HDR, or high dynamic range. And honestly, this makes a huge difference. It makes colors pop and shadows look like actual realistic shadows, not just big black blobs on the screen. Which finally brings us to the latest and greatest marketing push, 8K. This is where the whole idea of diminishing returns comes into play, big time. Let's talk about why, for most of us, this is just a trap. So get this, 8K has 16 times more pixels than a 1080p screen. 16! That number sounds incredible, doesn't it? It's a massive number, and it looks fantastic on a spec sheet. But here comes the reality check. And here's the punchline. When you're just sitting on your couch at a normal distance from your TV, the difference between 4K and 8K is so tiny that your eyes literally cannot tell the difference. The improvement is practically invisible, but the price difference sure isn't. So the key takeaway here is pretty simple. Stop chasing the biggest number. Instead, you've got to think about the whole picture. Focus on the pixel density, which is that magic relationship between the resolution, the screen size, and of course, how far away you're going to be sitting. That's the real formula for finding the perfect display for you. And that leaves us with one last thought to chew on. We figured out that resolution is just the canvas. But what about the paint? I mean, you can have a beautiful 4K screen,
But what if the movie you're trying to watch is really low quality? Well, that, my friends, is a whole other display lie.